So, what's the case? Anne had considered waiting for Patrick to explain, but she saw no point in dipping into her patience reserves this early on the case. She had barely resigned herself to the fact that the old case was closed to her for now. "Possible custody kidnapping," said Patrick. "Father of a 2-year-old boy picked him up from daycare a few hours ago." Custody kidnapping? The phrase caused Anne's stomach to tighten, and she suddenly understood her boss's concern. To be honest, she wasn't sure what to think or how to feel. Please, let this time be different. She did not want to stumble over another tiny body. She braced against the memory of finding Gabriel's remains in a field. Letting go of the Dawson case would be much easier if she had something that didn't involve a young child to concentrate on. Why is that a problem? Anne thought she knew where this was going, but figured Patrick could use the verbal exercise. The man could be very stingy with words. She also needed to distract herself from asking the dozen what-if questions lurking in her mind. How'd we end up with the case? I don't think we have jurisdiction. The mother was awarded full custody yesterday, Patrick explained. Was the daycare notified? Anne wondered. I think so. We'll find out when we question them after our interview with the mother. She's waiting for us there. Anne restored the volume level on the GPS and tried not to speed too much. The rental car didn't have a police light bar to let other law enforcement personnel know they were on a mission. She wasn't worried about a ticket, but if the case turned out to be a kidnapping, every second counted. You can do this. Business now? Good cry for Gabriel later. Walk me through it from the top, Anne ordered. Who, what, where, how, and why. You've answered some, but help me piece it together so I can map out better questions. Anne knew she probably didn't need to explain all that, but breaking old teacher habits was a slow process at best. Start with the victim. Patrick flipped back a few pages in his tiny notebook. The victim's name is Josiah Anthony Quinn. He's male. Age 2. 3 feet. 34 pounds. Brown hair. Green eyes. Patrick reported. Alleged abductor is the boy's father, Mitchell Allen Quinn. God, please protect the boy and his father. Whatever the situation, please let there be a peaceful solution. What does the father look like? Anne asked. Not sure, but we'll get a picture from the boy's mother. Has the Amber Alert gone out yet? Anne was pretty sure she hadn't missed hearing or seeing an Amber Alert, but doing so would be easy enough. Not sure, but if it's not out yet, it will be shortly, Patrick replied. An officer's call to the national coordinator prompted an official request for the FBI to consult on the case, which is how you and I caught it. Well, that answers the jurisdiction question. We're guests. Anne drew in a deep breath and let it rush out. What do we know for sure? Not much, but it's still early, Patrick answered. Cases like this tend to conclude quickly. How does he keep so calm? Her heart was doing gymnastics in her chest. She clung to the driving as a way to keep sane. The GPS lady did most of the hard thinking. Anne merely had to follow directions. Her mind possessed just enough margin to swirl with unanswerable questions. Will we find Josiah? Did his father really take him? Why would a father kidnap his own child? Where would he take the boy? We have to find him, Anne said, realizing the ridiculousness of the statement. They would or they wouldn't find the boy. They had roughly 72 hours before hopes would start fading. She remembered the conviction she'd felt during the first few days of the Dawson case. Back then, she'd been naive enough to believe happy endings came to those who prayed and worked hard enough for them. If he could read her thoughts, Patrick would warn against personalizing the case. But Anne couldn't help it. A little boy faced very real danger, and she had the privilege of being among those actively seeking to help him. Of course it was personal. Try not to personalize the case, Patrick said. Maybe he can read thoughts. I can't help it. It will become easier in time, Patrick promised.